take you through the offense, and you
All
tell me
right.
where you stand on each unit. We'll go running backs.
Okay. Running backs, I would go B. I've liked what I've seen out of Trey Benson after another guy that had to go through a nasty injury coming back. Loved. I was expecting a lot out of Trayshawn Ward, and he's done everything that I was expecting out of him. Lawrence Toa Philly too is one that has kind of hit a turn here. I thought it'd be a little bit sooner, but Lawrence Toa Philly, I really loved the way that he ran against Clemson. I just like that room overall. And then Rodney Hill, we haven't seen a ton of him. We'll only really get to see him in practice, but he's going to be a stud for Florida State. But I'll give that a B.
Yeah, they've got a pretty good distribution.
Probably B plus.
Yeah,
I'll give that a B plus
yeah,
because a lot
between
of
the,
that goes with the offensive line and run game
oh
stuff. But
yeah,
I give it a B plus.
yeah, between those top three, they've all taken their shot at being kind of the featured guy at different times. Trayshawn Ward's got 72 carries. Trey Benson's got 54, and Lawrence Toafili's got 53.
And the thing is too for Trey Benson and mainly Treshaun Ward, those guys have been game changers to keep Florida State in games or win games. Like Treshaun Ward, he was the only running threat against LSU that was able to get down the field. Trey Benson was going more east to west, and then you go a few weeks later, and Trey Benson's getting down the field. I believe it was against Louisville, where he was able to find some success late in the game, and Trey Benson hit a different notch and was able to get down there. So those two guys, game changers for Florida State, has helped them put some wins in the column.
Guess we're going to break up our report card grades because there is a question coming in about Demore Tate and what's going on with him.
Yeah, Demore, today had an end zone PBU. I believe we put it in the practice report, but he's still working with scout team throughout the season. You look at Azare Thomas and Sam McCall; those guys are getting more playing time. You see it straight up with Azare starting to get more reps with every week going on. Week by week, he's getting more reps. So Demore Tate, the talent is there. It's crazy. He's one of your biggest size defensive back. The physical attributes are amazing. He looks great, and he has flashes, but it's more inconsistency than anything with him. And it's also about, staying focused. And I think the staff has given him a lot of opportunities to turn things around. I thought he had a nice spring, and I thought things were bouncing back, but a slow start to fall camp kind of hurt him there, and we'll see. But, Azare Thomas and, Sam McCall have moved up there, along with Greedy Vance coming in transfer. So that's just the way it kind of goes sometimes. But, he's with Scout this season, Scout team.
I forgot how highly rated Demore Tate was coming out of high school. Fifth rated cornerback in the country.
He looks great. I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, he was making plays left and right during the spring. Looked good. I was like, okay, all right, there could be a chance this upcoming fall for Demore Tate to get into that cornerback position room. And you would have loved to see that because you're relying on Renardo Green and Amarion Cooper. Amarion Cooper being really kind of inconsistent right now for FSU. You would love to have Demore Tate in that mix as a veteran guy that had been around the program for a little while now. But like you said, highly ranked coming out of high school. A lot of teams really heavily after him at the end, but stuck with FSU and just, I think lost focus upon arrival in Tallahassee.
So if we move on to the offensive line, and of course it's difficult to rate the offensive line or really rate the running backs without the offensive line, but where do you stand on them after 7 games?
Offensive line?
Yeah.
I'll go with the C, and I'm probably more of just going off of a recent game, just how they were able to do with Clemson. I thought that was impressive. Like you said, that's rare to have, 6.6 yards per carry. That's rare for a team to do anything like that to Clemson. All throughout the season, there's a lot of inconsistency. Like I said, Robert Scott Jr. shouldn't be. I understand the NFL's high, the talk, the chatter, blah, blah, blah. I don't understand that too much. And definitely after seeing what happened against Clemson, he's not going anywhere, or I hope nobody's lying to him. But Robert Scott Jr., a lot of inconsistencies there. And then you throw in Jazz and Turrentine who, a lot of inconsistency. I mean, Coach Atkins practically told us, and that's something that they're working on with him. I've liked what I've seen from Dylan Gibbons. He's a guy that just stays consistent, does what he needs to do. And then you had Dimitri Emmanuel on the inside there too. I'd give it a C. I'd give it a C for right now. Maurice Smith. What's crazy is he holds his own for the size he is. If he could be 2 inches, 3 inches taller, and then put on another 20 pounds or so of healthy weight, that'd be a really nice center for Florida State, because I think Coach Atkins just likes him because of the technique, and you can rely on him a lot, and it is almost a glue there that holds on that inside. But I'd give it a C. Nothing more special to give it a plus or anything, and not enough negative stuff to go with the minus.
Is the wide receiver room the most improved unit on this team?
The most improved unit?
Yeah.
Wide receiver room. I'd probably go wide receiver room. I haven't liked the drops, so no, I've not been a big fan of those. Those are extremely irritating at times. Definitely when Jordan Travis is putting a pretty ball into your hands, and AKA Malik McLean in the end zone 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I'd probably go wide receiver room. I was going to go linebackers, and I think the linebacker room has improved. But if I'm going to battle between wide receivers, linebackers, I would go wide receivers. And this isn't really a shock to me. What we saw in the spring with Johnny Wilson, everybody thought I was a lunatic for thinking Johnny Wilson would be the star wide receiver coming into the season. But I promise I'm not lying from what I see at practices, and Johnny Wilson has been that star guy. And then Micah Pittman, those two guys have been great additions of Florida State, and Deuce Spann will eventually become one too, just getting a little bit more coaching after switching positions from quarterback over to wide receiver. There's definitely optimism, and you haven't even seen Winston Wright Jr. yet, but I've liked what I see from Kentron Portier, Malik McLean, if he can come down with those grabs in the end zone and build some consistency there. And then what I'm really excited for, he's not really running back. I mean, he is a running back. He's listed as a running back, but he's more of a hybrid. I would say more of a wide receiver, in my opinion, as a slot guy. But Ja'Kai Douglas, I'm excited for the rest of the season with him. He's probably Florida State's smoothest route runners on the team right now. He looks really, really good and healthy, fully healthy, 110%.
All right. If we go to the defensive line, and of course, we've talked a lot about Fabian Lovett not being there for most of the year.
Yeah. Interior, just specifically interior, or both of interior and outside of the end. If it's all between, if we're combining both, I'd give this group, I'd give it a B. And I know you've lost Fabian Lovett. I think what carries you, though, is on the outside with Jared Verse and Derek McLennan, and the bright future of Pat Payton, too. I really love watching Pat Payton play. Was high on him in the spring. We saw the size that he put on, and him challenging himself to put himself to be right behind Jared Verse and McLendon to get reps. I've liked what I've seen on the outside there. And, we don't really talk about him a ton, but Leonard Warner has been at Florida State for 22 years. And this year he's been nice to be able to throw in there whenever you need him, to give some of those guys some rest. He's looked good the last 2 weeks, and we're never going to talk about him that much. I know we've only named him once this season, I think, on this show, but for a guy that needs to come in and do his job, and you rely on a veteran, I thought Leonard Warner has been nice there to help out on the outside, with Jared Verse being more limited after the injury. But, I think Jared Verse and Pat Payton boost that rim quite a bit to give it a nice B. I wish the inside could help a little bit more. Joshua Farmer might help it. Robert Cooper, it's just crazy the difference it is whenever Fabian Lovett's next to him playing. It just helps them out so much, boosts them. But I give it a B.
Okay, let's go to linebackers. Of course, the big addition with Tatum Bethune.
Linebackers, I'm gonna give it. I just gave the defensive line a B. I'm gonna give this one a B minus. I give this one a B minus just because of the improvement that we've seen from last year. There's been some slip ups here and there, but I swear Deloach is just one little inch away from some of these shoestring tackles that would put some quarterbacks back friggin' 5 or 10 yards. It just irritates me sometimes. But I'd give it a B minus. I've liked the improvement. I've been impressed with Randy Shannon, what he's been able to do there, just because of the lack of guys he has in that room. If you really think about it, you've got 3. You've got DJ Lundy, you've got Deloach, and you've got Tatum Bethune. And you have those groups, but behind that, you can't rely too much. I know Brandon Gant's been in there, and I thought he's had a good season, but after that, you've got Amari Graham Jr., Amari Gaynor, who's not fully healthy and hasn't been able to play in a good long while. Just a group that is thin. You'd like to have some more talent in there. That's why they brought Tatum Bethune in this year. Thank goodness. But I'd give it a B minus.
All right. Why don't we split up the corners and the safeties and go to corner?
Oh, this is there's one player that helps at a ton. There's one player that hurts at a ton. And it's between Renardo Green and Marion Cooper. C. It'd probably be a C. Enough is for as much as Renardo Green can do. And if you go back, he made some big time plays, 2 big time plays against Clemson. 2 really great PBUs, and on the other side, though, Marion Cooper, you go all the way back to the LSU game there when Jaden Daniels was able to find his wide receiver in the end zone. Marion Cooper just gets beat on that quick slant to the end side. We were like, okay, not fully healthy maybe. I think that excuse should no matter be used. I don't think it should it shouldn't be used anymore. And I think Azrae Thomas is on the heels of some of these guys. Jarian Jones is there. You've got Greedy Vance, Kevin Knowles. I guess we're out on that outside of corners, but just specifically those 2, I think it's a C. Might be a C minus.
Robinson and the safeties.
Of course, the play that's going to come up to everybody is missing that sack there by Kevin Knowles, and that opens up a wide open wide receiver for Akeem Dent, who's still, you got to do your job. And then Jamie, I've loved what I've seen out of Jamie. He doesn't get talked about much because that's the thing with defense back. If you're not talked about much, you're doing your job. That was the same way with Ronald Darby and PJ Williams during their time. Didn't really have to talk about them on Saturdays after games just because they were on lockdown duty. Safeties wise, between Jamie and Akeem Dent and Shaheem Brown I really like. And this came in and played well. I've not been so impressed with Akeem Dent this year. I just haven't seen a huge improvement. He's made some plays though in the end zone to save some touchdowns though. I'm going to give this room, give it a B. It's going to be a B for me.
All right. Why don't we wrap this up with a little special teams? We'll throw it all together.
Oh, yeah.
Break it down. We know what everybody's thinking about special teams and what they're going to be focused on in terms of missing kicks, but throw it all together. And what do you think?
Inconsistencies. Alex, you better run for that first down next time, buddy. They might have not learned that in Australia. I don't know. And then you go to Ryan Fitzgerald, and the inconsistency there. I do think, though, he's going to be fine for the rest of the season. I'm sure now that I said that, I will just screw it all up. But I've liked what I've seen from him in practice, and just, a few of the games that we've seen him kick. Hasn't been a ton, but this one's going to be – does this also – can I add in a couple things here with the return game coverage? Does that
throw it all in. It's all special teams.
Everything was working great until Shipley got into Tallahassee. It was working beautiful. Florida State was one of the best teams in the country at doing so. Punt return has been really nice with Micah Pittman. That has been huge for Florida State. So that ups it up a little bit more. I'm trying to give it some rise here, trying to give it a little bit of rise.
Ontario Wilson's got a 51-yard punt return.
Yep, that was that.
Who was that against?
That was kind of a fake. I believe that was against not Wake Forest. It was NC State, if I'm correct. Someone in the chat will tell me. I believe it was. I'm trying to get all these games in my head. I'm going to give this me a C+. C plus just because of that, because I am adding in other things. I know that everybody's going to think that I'm giving a C plus from the kicking. If it was just kicking, I'd give it a D, but I do like what I've seen out of Micah Pittman, the return game too, with Trey Benson. You got your first kickoff return touchdown since 2013. Worth noting that. So I have a good argument there to hold my C plus. Yeah, but it was NC State. So